Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for the product release and roadmap Q1 2020 webinar. Just as a reminder, we host this 30-minute webinar the last month of every quarter, just to share with you what we've recently released, what's coming up on the roadmap, and how you can make the most of our recent releases. So today is a little different, as everyone probably is aware. Our team is working from home, so we're usually sitting in the same room with a do not disturb sign on the meeting room. So just please bear with us if we run across any technical difficulties or if you hear children or dogs barking in the background. We're just adjusting to the new world order. So we are recording this webinar today, and we'll share the recording along with the slides shortly after the session. And during the webinar, please feel free to use that Q&A box on your window, and we have reserved plenty of time at the end to answer those questions. So with that said, I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. I'm the host of the webinar, Colette Chevalier. I'm in customer marketing, and we have joining us Kara Hendricks. She's in product marketing. Kevin Scullin is a senior product manager here, and we've got Greg Wegner, our VP of product. Today we plan to cover our employment verification, our new young adult and senior verification, the new ad school request form, our enhanced reporting, which is in beta, our new customer service tool, and our brand new Share ID for Shopper site. Also, Greg will dive into our Q2 roadmap, and then we'll have time, like I said, at the end to take Q&A. And before we get started, I just wanted to kind of highlight nurses, first responders, and doctors. We've been receiving quite a few inquiries from our customers lately into these three consumer tribes. And just wanted to remind everyone on the call today that these are consumer tribes that Share ID has the capability to verify on. And then also, especially with National Nurses Week coming up, it's right around the same as Teacher Appreciation Week, but that week is May 6th through 12th. So it is fast approaching. So if you're thinking of doing a program for nurses, just wanted to remind everyone that now is probably the time to start really thinking about that. And then also first responders and doctors are two other segments that you can take advantage of. So with that, we'll pass it over to Kara and she'll get us started.
Awesome. Thank you, Colette. So we will jump right in here into some of the new consumer tribes that we launched in Q1 this year. And this quarter was all about, taking Share ID global, expanding our coverage internationally into more countries and in three key areas, being employment verification, young adults, and seniors. So I wanted to tell you a little bit more about each of those, what those mean, and how you can get started. So the first one being employment verification. So this is now available for 85% of employers worldwide, which is huge and brings huge value for brands that are really providing corporate partners with those exclusive discounts. So as an example, Sprint is just one of our customers that uses employment verification to protect their corporate perks program this way. So instead of making consumers, go into a storefront or call someone on the phone to show a pay stub or verify their employment status that way, they can easily be verified online in seconds. So this makes it, super easy for consumers to be able to have access to that discount and get it and get started with it, as well as ensuring that the offer is protected by backing it with verification. So if you at your company are leveraging this type of partner program with other companies, this would be a great opportunity for you. The next one that we launched is seniors. So this has been a capability that we've had for a while in the US, and where we've now taken it internationally to 23 countries. So we're going to be able to verify, over 800 million seniors in 23 countries across the globe, which is huge. And so what's really awesome about how our senior verification works is that you get to define the age range for what a senior means to you. You know, is that 50 and over? Is it 65 and over? Is it 62 and over? You get to decide, what makes the most sense for your brand, for your market. You guys know it best. So you get to decide who's eligible for that and how we verify that. An example customer here in the US is Michaels, that's leveraging senior verification. And so we're really excited to get started with more brands that want to look at expanding this globally in other countries. And alongside senior verification, we also released young adult verification. And so similarly available in those 23 countries. We can follow up if you're interested in what countries exactly those are. But we're going to be able to verify 645 million young adults across those countries. And so a great way to think about this and a great way to leverage this type of program is going to be to expand or supplement an existing student program. So think of it as a way to capture that Gen Z or millennial audience beyond the university campus, right? Not just limiting it to students, but broadening your reach to expand based on age. And so you can really capture that wider audience of the younger generation by making your personalized offer available to people within that certain age range, whether that be, 20 to 25, 18 to 26, again, you get to decide that age range that makes most sense for you. So you could launch a youth offer alongside your student offer to really capture more people and give people options. Or there's been a lot of interest in a young professionals offer to kind of capture people maybe in that 24 to 28 kind of age range as they're newly entering the workforce. So if you're looking at these and thinking about, oh, this might be interesting, if any of these consumer tribes are of interest to you, or you're thinking about expanding your programs internationally beyond the US, definitely reach out to your CSM or drop a question in the Q&A panel in this webinar, and we'll have your information, and we'll be able to follow up with you directly right after this. And yeah, so let us know if you're interested. So I will pass it over to Kevin now to talk about some of the other exciting new features that we launched this quarter.
Thank you, Kara. Next slide, please. The first thing I'm going to talk about is our Ad School request form. And this is a form that we have to really streamline consumers getting back and increasing verifications. Next slide. The purpose of our Ad School request form is to have kind of a second user experience for people who don't locate their school in your verification form. Usually this is things like typos, or perhaps they're using an abbreviation that CheerID might not be familiar with. And our real goal is give them a chance to come and look for their school in this form, and ideally find it, copy the name of that school, go back and get verified. And we know this is working. We have metrics that requests to add a school that CheerID is not aware of are down nearly 75% since we launched this form. And we know many of those people are going back to your verification forms and getting verified. We made a couple improvements to really help with this process. The first thing is we start with a search by website. All students and teachers obviously know the website of their school. And this helps us overcome any differences with how they might conceive of the name of their school versus the names and the aliases that we have in the CheerID database. The other improvement we made is that this form is intelligent. What I mean by that is it understands your program configuration. So if you have a program that's just for higher education institutions and someone comes to your form and provides a vocational school, they're not going to find it. So if you have an Add School request form, they can come there and look for their school there. They very likely will locate it, but we will mark it as being an ineligible school. So they will now have a good piece of feedback to say, okay, now I understand why I'm not eligible for this particular offer. So that helps with them to give them a clear resolution and avoid some customer support issues. If you're interested in a form like this and you have a student or a teacher program, then reach out to your CSM. They can work with our client delivery team to get this added. Next slide, please. Next, I want to talk about the enhanced reporting dashboard. And this is coming out of beta, so thank you if you participated in the beta program. And if beta programs in general are of interest, I'll talk about that after a couple more slides. Next slide. In terms of the enhanced reporting dashboard, we're always gathering feedback on MyShareID. And one of the pieces of feedback that we had gotten was, can we improve a couple things on the reporting? Number one, I want my dashboard to load very quickly, even if I have a lot of data. So that was the number one thing that we tackled, is getting these dashboards to be a lot speedier. The other piece of feedback that we got was, I really want to be able to see numbers for some very specific combinations. To accomplish that, we built some new advanced filtering. So for instance, if you have a couple student programs, maybe even in a couple countries, you can easily combine those programs and maybe look at just UK and just the results that were true, and you can get all your charts and graphs and numbers updated very, very quickly to hone in on specifically the number of verifications from that particular population. We also added a year-over-year comparison chart. We got feedback, hey, I have a back-to-school offer again this year, and I've had one the last year as well. I want to see at a glance how these performed against each other. So we have that year-over-year. Also, I want to point out none of the other reporting has gone away. It's all still available to you. It's just a couple clicks away. This is going to be a new front page for everyone, though, coming soon. And I do want to point out, too, that we brought forward some of the return on investment data that we have from the ROI dashboard. So if you're someone who uses our conversion tracking, you can see that conversion rate and revenue number right on the front page here, and you can see it there in the upper right. So we'll continue to add more additions to this throughout the coming quarters. So again, keep feedback coming once this launches if you have anything that you'd like us to pay special attention to. Next slide, please. We also have improved our customer service search tool. This is something that you can all use if you're looking to locate information about a particular verification. So if you have any inbound consumer traffic on any of your support channels, people asking about a verification from ShareID, you have this tool. It's assigned to all account owners, and you can search by name, email address, and locate a particular verification, get all the details about it. We gave this a full UX facelift. Primarily, we really increased the amount of space for looking at the details on a request. If you're familiar with the tool now, you kind of have a narrow pane on the right of the page. We made that so it can be opened, as you see in the screenshot, and you can see a lot more details. We're also bringing forward a lot of details that traditionally haven't been in this tool. So if you're sending us metadata about a request, you can see it. Also, if you have notifiers, SMS or webhook, we're going to put those details in here as well, as in addition, a little bit more date time information and some geography stuff, like for instance, what's the geography of the organization that this person chose. And lastly, you get a URL for each request. This is very handy for support issues. You can see it in the upper right of the screenshot near that copy icon. If you just send this URL to the consumer, they can simply click on it and they can return to whatever step of the verification flow they left off at. Next slide, please. So I mentioned beta programs. This is something we want to do more of, and it really is a small commitment. We will give you access, early access to a new feature, and just in exchange for, can we have a 15-minute meeting with myself or another product manager to gather feedback. So if that's something that you're interested in, then again, just please reach out to your CSM and they can help you get involved in the next beta program. And next slide. Lastly, I want to talk about ShareID for shoppers. So this quarter we relaunched ShareID for shoppers site. It's now live, shareid.com/shoppers. And if you're not familiar, this is an exclusive marketplace for ShareID customers. It attracts consumers and makes it very easy for them to find the types of offers that they're looking for. So we're all about consumer tribes. So all the offers are sorted by consumer tribe. And the offer card links directly to your landing page. We also have what we call the hero slider at the top, and it highlights the some very popular offers very prominently on the site. So this site is managed by our fantastic marketing services team, and they can help customers with some of their larger campaigns. So if you're interested or have any questions, then definitely reach out after the webinar and we can get you in touch with those folks. And now I'm going to hand it off to Greg to talk about Q2 roadmap.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. We could just dig right in. Next slide, please. So here are some of the top roadmap themes that we're working on in Q2. The first one is fraud prevention. We have new ways to prevent people from gaming the system and qualifying for offers more times than they deserve. The next theme is we have an industry-leading 99% coverage of service members today, but as you'll see, we're doing more there. And then finally, we have an Uber driver marketplace that will give you a great new way to extend the reach of your offer and bring in new customers. So let's dig in. Next slide. So first, fraud prevention. If you have a high value offer or just in an industry where you have to be more concerned about being taken advantage of, we have a new solution for you. Most of you are familiar with two-factor authentication. That's when you're trying to log in and they send you an SMS message with a 6-digit code, something like that. You enter that into a web form to proceed. And this is proving that you actually have that phone that was with the number that you provided in your possession. It's further proof that you are who you say you are. So this new feature follows the same principle. Say you're a student trying to verify for a discount. With the SMS fraud check, we'll collect your phone number along with your name, school, and date of birth. And then as a next step, before we check student status, we'll send that 6-digit code. You enter that into a form that looks something like it's right here on the screen. And if that's successful, ShareID ties that phone number to your verification record, so you can't claim that offer again. So it effectively raises the bar against offer abuse. We delivered this SMS loop feature this quarter, and we have plans to improve it in Q2 with third-party data checking. And so this is a data check that cross-references your name and phone number and make sure they're linked. So that's another layer of protection for your offer. Talk to your CSM if you're interested in this feature. Fraud is a cat and mouse game, so we're also setting up what we're calling active fraud monitoring, so that internally ShareID is able to respond more quickly, faster than ever before when some new exploit emerges. It's kind of like when your credit card company calls you about suspected fraud. The ShareID platform has multiple ways to block offer abuse, and we'll continue to invest in this for the foreseeable future. Next slide, please. So military verification. ShareID has over 9,000 data sources in our network, and we're always adding more to ensure we have redundancy as well as coverage, in case there's outages, sometimes there's network interruptions, things like that. So for military verification, we have 99% coverage of service members, but we're trying to add redundancy in case one source goes offline. We've added redundancy to active duty service members, and I'm really excited about our new direct connection to the VA, which will give us 100% coverage of veterans. I'm also pleased to announce we're looking for beta customers for Canadian military verification. This is a private beta, so if you're interested, please contact your CSM, like Kevin suggested, and we'll see if this program is right for you. Another thing that ShareID does every year is we make sure our products are intuitive as possible for end users, your future customers. we conduct usability studies in the wild. We go out to real live potential users and get their direct and candid feedback on our existing products. We make sure they know, you can't hurt our feelings. We want their full opinion. We test out our existing product and improvements we're tinkering with behind the scenes. And it's part of the reason our products have been so successful over the years and our instant verification rates are so high. It's not just about data, it's about the entire frictionless experience that we've tuned to maximize customer conversion. And so this extends from our user experience to re-engagement emails. We talked about that at the last webinar. And it also extends to the guidance and best practices our team provides. Next slide, please. Finally, next quarter, we're launching a new strategic partnership with Uber. It showcases exclusive offers just for Uber drivers. This is a new consumer tribe you can address through ShareID. It's not a traditional tribe like military or students, but Uber drivers have some compelling features that make them prime targets for personalized offers. These are individuals who are highly economically motivated. Over 2/3 of them are working to support a child or a parent living at home. They're also highly educated. Over half of them hold a 4-year college degree. They're mostly male, and the age range is quite diverse. So if this sparks some interest for you and you'd like to learn more about this marketplace, please leave us a note in the chat and we'll be sure to follow up. Alternatively, you can reach out to your CSM. So back to you, Colette.
Great, thank you guys. Wonderful. So now is our Q&A portion. So please feel free to keep sending in your questions. And before we dive into the questions, I just wanted to highlight 2 additional areas. Kara, if you want to hit the next slide. Yep, thank you. So for everyone on the webinar today, after the webinar, you'll be redirected to a dedicated review page on G2 Crowd. We're offering a $100 gift card for Amazon. So G2 Crowd will fulfill $50 and then we'll match that with another $50. If you decide to leave an anonymous review, no worries, just reach out to us and we will make sure that that secondary $50 will be given to you afterwards. I will also include that link in the follow-up email. So there's that. And then next slide, Kara. You may have seen us ask this question, but we will also include a link to a 1-question survey in the follow-up email. And it's just, if ShareID created a Slack workplace for our customers to connect, would you want to join and be an active participant? So we want to, we're getting a lot of requests from our customers on ways for them to connect with one another. So we're trying to find the best way and the most convenient way for our customers to connect. So if you could just take this 1-question survey, that will help us really direct, really figure out, the best next course of action. So with that, some questions that are coming through. Let's see, on the new segments that we covered in the beginning, the employment, seniors, and young adults, how much do the new segments cost? So Kara, I'm going to direct that one to you since you covered that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Good question. So these are going to vary slightly from country to country since we are launching them in so many countries beyond the US. Majority of them are going to be included in your standard pricing bundle, but reach out to us if you're interested. We can talk about which countries you're most interested in launching in and specific pricing for that country.
Perfect. All right. How can I add the new fraud prevention capabilities when it becomes available? Greg, do you want to touch on that?
Sure. I mean, as I mentioned, contacting CSM is the best route. You can also send an email to helpdesk@shareid.com. It's a great way to track it, and they'll be right on top of that. The other fraud features I mentioned, the active monitoring, is just happens behind the scenes, no action necessary. All
right. Let's see. will I see different match rates for my military programs after the expanded coverage is added in in the Q2 roadmap slides that you covered, Greg?
Yeah, I'm still on. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, outages are more rare, but it's possible you see a lift and, related to that. But we do expect a bit of a bump with veterans programs. There's now 100% coverage, so that's going to be really strong.
Awesome. All right, it looks like we have a couple more that came in. One says, can all my users see the reporting and customer service features in my ShareID? Kevin, I think that's one that you covered. Do you mind chiming in there?
Sure. So there's a suite of roles in my ShareID that are used to control access to features. Reporting is tied to two of them, Reporter and Analytics Dashboard, and customer service is its own role. So the person who created your account gets all those roles and what's called a user admin role. And any user admin on the account can assign or remove roles from other users. So you can assign them very specifically down to the user level.
Perfect. Great. And just have one last question here. Referring to the shopper site, what do I have to do to get my offer in the ShareID for shopper site? And what about in the hero section?
Echoing what Greg
Kevin,
said, yes. Most primarily reach out to your customer success manager. And if you don't have one, you can try helpdesk@shareid.com and they will route your request to marketing services to get back to you.
Great. Well, thank you, Greg, Kevin, and Kara for taking the time to walk us through what was released and what's coming up. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to our next roadmap and release webinar in Q2. So everyone, thank you for joining us today. We will be sending out all of the slides and the recording and those few other details that I covered in a follow-up email. And always feel free to reach out to your customer success manager or, like Kevin mentioned, helpdesk@shareid.com. So thank you very much. Stay safe and healthy, and be in touch if you need anything.